Welcome to the 2024 Economic Depression and Preparation Channel. I'm your host, Tony. Thank you for joining me on this edition, weekday edition. We're just going to briefly talk about the inflation expectations are considerably rising now, especially now that the Federal Reserve Bank has pushed back their target date, of course, for dropping the rates. But even if the rates do come down or remain steady, it is clear in many people's minds that housing, food, transportation, utilities, and other goods and services will only continue to rise. And that's along with taxes. That is always that never-ending tax that we have on goods and services and on housing. Even if it's paid off, taxes still remain a service that's going to need to be paid by everyone. So long-term inflation expectations rise, spelling possible trouble for the Fed, the survey shows. Please be sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest interpretation of financial news. We're not financial planners or advisors, but we do interpret financial news and give you 100% unadulterated, unfiltered truth here on this channel. So guys, what we're looking at here is we're looking at data showing that inflation has risen. It has not come down. It's come down. Remember a couple months ago, the media was reporting that inflation did come down a couple of 1 or 2 percentage points. And it did. Okay, that was the good news. But the bad news is now it's starting to stagnate and actually starting to tick back up 0.3 percentage points. So we have to look at this and say to ourselves, when you go to Costco, Sam's, Ralph's, Winco, HEB, whatever store you go to, go grocery shopping, customers are noticing that prices are rising not just monthly, but weekly. Every time you go into the store every 2 weeks or 3 weeks to get more food for your family or friends, the prices are going up everywhere. And this is not good news because we haven't even gotten to the crux of this slowdown yet. We're just now entering the third inning of this total collapse. And, things are already starting to get shaky in food prices. Gas prices starting to go up. You've noticed on your TV screens, you've been seeing a lot around the country about how gas prices have gone up. And we haven't even gotten into spring or summer yet. So you can expect $4 gas this summer, guaranteed for unleaded. And I know Californians are like, $4, we're going to get to that before you guys. But that's still a lot for a lot of people to absorb for regular unleaded gasoline. So the Fed's 2% goal of inflation is definitely going to be a pipe dream at this stage, because to get to 2% inflation, you're looking at it as a 4-year, 5-year term, or whoever gets in office. It's going to take longer than 4 or 5 years to bring it down to 2%, this inflation goal, because saddlestats.com is reporting that real inflation is at 12%. So we know that. We understand that at this community and other communities as well. We've been predicting that. And so you can see here, Fed Chair Jerome Powell had this hearing with the House Senate Committee up in D.C. with the folks up in inside the Beltway. That was earlier last week. And he stated that, quote, "I'm not looking for inflation to go all the way down to 2%, but they keep mentioning this 2% goal." That's what he stated in the hearing, but that's what they're looking for it to do. Unfortunately, it's kind of a catch-22. You can bring deflation down, but you can't control pricing, and if you do it, you're going to sacrifice the dollar. The U.S. dollar is losing value. It's already lost 98% of its value since 1970, since we got taken off of the gold standard, as you know. But I believe that the dollar is going to be sacrificed, honestly. I think that the stock market, yes, is going to go up, but remember, guys, when I told you guys, everything in inflation and hyperinflation goes up. So that means stocks, gold, crypto, anything like that is going to go up because the dollar is losing its value. So it takes more of those dollars to service the debt, more of those dollars to do things. So when people say, the stock market is an all-time high relative to what? Okay, just like a car costs, let's say in 1990, a car cost $15,000, $10,000. Now it costs $40,000. But it's all in the same. It takes more dollars to buy that same type of car, Honda, Toyota, or whatever, Mazda, whatever. So now we have a situation now where Biden official says he's going to give $10,000 to home buyers with limited effect on prices. Would have limited effect on prices. This was on Market Watch. And critics say that proposed $10,000 tax credit for first-time buyers will increase demand and to help keep home prices elevated. Well, we know this is false because remember, a lot of the builders, your big 5 builders, KB Homes, Ryan Homes, Pulte Homes, etc., were no longer building starter homes. They were building more mid-range and more advanced home prices that were up $400,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. And they tried to offer a lot of closing credits. You see that a lot with the new builders, offer a lot of closing credits and seller credits, a $10,000 seller credit to try to get it off get the new homes off the market, get them sold fast. That didn't work, and a lot of people had to come up with more cash either for down payment or for closing costs, or they cut out the different features like the special packages like appliance package, or maybe they cut out something where you didn't get all the appliances when you moved in, they didn't have as many move-in ready homes. So that's a big joke. Now the Biden administration is trying this thing to provide a $10,000 tax credit. The problem is that $10,000 doesn't go very far when you're talking about closing costs that exceed that. In addition to that, many people that are renting an apartment and things of that nature like that, they're getting at a higher interest rate now. So like I said, the average interest rate now is 7.5%. If you have bad credit, it can go all the way up to 10%, 10%. So most people are well beyond that. The down payment needed for something like that is going to exceed 3.5%. For an FHA loan, or even if you get a different type of loan, something with NACA or something like that, or a conventional loan, you definitely would need more than 3.5% down. You need 5% down, possibly more than that. So the problem is that this is not going to go very far, unfortunately, for those who are looking for first-time home buyers. But I will say this. There is hope. It is better to at least have an opportunity to own something in 30 years or 15 years or 20 years, how long you choose to pay it off, that mortgage off. It's better to try that than to be renting and not be in control, because some of these rents, as you know, in these cities like Phoenix and Indianapolis and Detroit and DC and New York and Boston, and even in Florida, Miami and Tampa, these rent prices have gone out of control, and they're raising rents at rent renewals as much as $250 to $400 a pop, and when it's time for your lease to be renewed, and you have no control over that. So it's better to choose, I believe, in my opinion, it's better to choose to at least have a chance at owning something, even though property taxes are forever and insurance and maintenance. But it's better to have some, at least at a chance at the end of 30 years, if you should live that long, God should grant you that time, or end of 20 years or 15 years, to own that and pass it down, than to not have a chance at just renting and perpetual renter, unless you're like, something like a contractor or something where you have to move around different cities around. There's special circumstances, obviously. So, that's my take on that. So this credit, it's not going to have a limited effect on prices. Prices are still going to rise because the builders are greedy, and there's no regulation. We used to have a consumer financial protection bill that actually cared about its citizens. Now we don't have that, so there's nobody to help the little guy out. And homeowner associations too are gone just berserk in this country, and so with all these covenants and things like that nature, they got to get their cut too. So everybody has to get their cut out of this $10,000, and it's just not going to be enough, especially for the realtors here that are hurting in a lot of these cities too. So just a lot to think about, guys. But just remember that the main thing for most of us is to try to reduce our expenses, increase our passive income in addition to our regular hustle jobs, and also in order to reduce the inflation on our household goods, start buying, maybe if you don't buy a name brand, start buying store-bought products and start making your own stuff. Learning on YouTube, a lot of different channels that teach you how to make your own different things. I don't know, like how to do canning, how to make your own hand sanitizer, how to do things of those nature. So start looking into that, and you can make your products last a lot longer. How to make your own bug spray, to keep the mosquitoes away, stuff like that. Just things of those nature to help cut back on your costs and buying these different items that you have to buy, that we all have to buy on a monthly basis. And that will help out too. So be blessed, guys. Just want to share that with you today. I'll be back later on when the weeks come out with the job numbers and different things of that nature as well. Take care.